Hello guys, welcome back. It's Luther here. Before I get started today, I just want to talk to you and apologize for my inability to upload content as of late. I made a video a couple months ago, and after posting it, I got some comments about having a bad microphone, so I ordered a new one, and when I got it, ended up missing a part, and I got back to them, and they just never got me the part I was missing, so I could never actually hook it up to my computer. I'm still waiting on them, but I decided that I should probably put out some content while I'm waiting for that to happen. So before we get into actual gameplay, I want to start this new thing where I'm going to be doing analysis on the very specific and main threats to the meta right now, and I'm basically going to be looking at everything from the S rank to the all the way down to the A- rank in the LC viability rankings as provided by the council. And I'm going to be just doing it alphabetically right now. So, and of course, the first mon we're going to be looking at is Abra. Now, Abra is going to be known for its basically glass cannon like status, I guess. But basically, Abra takes it takes a lot of damage from opposing attacks, but it has the highest or second highest special attack behind Ghastly. It's basically the most glass cannon like mon in LC right now, I would argue. And in addition to its high power, it's given access to a lot of moves. It has Dazzling Gleam for coverage against dark moves, Energy Ball for annoying things like Slowpoke, and so on and so forth. But basically, I just want to take an in-depth look on the three most common sets. Now, I wouldn't call Scarf Abra that common, but we'll get into that in a bit. But before I get into the other two types of Abra sets, I wanted to talk about the standard Sash Abra. Now, the standard Sash Abra basically attempts to utilize other team members to knock off and basically break down the opposing team's mons, where Abra can just come in late game or mid game if your opponent's really weak to it and just claim kill after kill. So you have the most bulky mons like Spritzy, I guess. It takes about 48% or something with Psychic after it gets knocked off. So it pairs really well with things like Spikes, for example. So Ferris Heat is a great partner for Abra. Ferris Heat gets access to things like Knockoff, Spikes, Stealth Rocks, all to chip away at your opponent. And then getting the knockoffs is going to make it a lot easier on the Abra, just to not take any damage if your opponent survives. So that way when it gets knocked off, you get the 1.5 boost because there is no longer any Violite on the opposing threats. So that's a very good partner with Abra. Another thing you're gonna see, of course, with being one of the most broken mons in the tier right now, is Diglett. Now, Diglett's going to be able to trap things like Grimer, Alolan Grimer, and if you really want to get creative, like Scarf Diglett's going to be able to get rid of your opposing Scarf Pondereds, but that's not that big of a threat. But that's basically what you're looking at with Abra. And this set specifically, I'm going to explain to you why we have every single move that we do have on it. So another great thing about Abra is its access to Magic Guard. Now, what Magic Guard does is it prevents taking any damage from things like Spikes, Stealth Rocks, coming in, Toxic Burns. Well, you don't see those that often, but it basically prevents you from taking any damage. Now, that is a great partner addition to Sash because it basically guarantees you at least 2 turns staying in, because Abra's speed is so high. It gets access to 19 speed, which is going to be able to outspeed the entire unboosted meta outside of Elekid and Diglett. It speed ties with a couple things like Staryu and Wingull, but yeah, it has great speed. So basically, why we run protect on this Abra is A lot of times you get Mienfus that try to come in, take a fake out, and then try to break the sash because it's just so annoying to deal with in the end game. Now, running Protect, what you do is you basically are voided of that fake out damage. You keep your sash intact, and since you have this 19 speed that outspeeds Mienfu's 17 speed, you also get to fire off a Psychic. Now that Psychic is going to be able to kill most Mienfus, and does like 90 something to Fungus. So you have, again, that glass cannon type mon that is going to be able to dish out a lot of damage. And that's basically why we run Protect. And of course we run Psychic simply because it's the most powerful stab that Abra is going to get access to. Now moving on, we have Dazzling Gleam. Now Dazzling Gleam is basically to hit the annoying things that try to come in, such as a Violate Poniards, or Vullabies, or just in general dark types that basically resist the psychic types, but then take a lot from Dazzling Gleam. So a really popular set running around right now on Vullaby would be the Berry Juice Vullaby. Now, Vullaby takes about 60 from Dazzling Gleam, so what most people try to do is get up rocks again with things like Ferrothorn, or Ferroseed, sorry, excuse me, and then just get a bit of chip, and after it takes that bit of chip, after coming on rocks, it's going to be able to knock out Vullaby with Dazzling Gleam. So that's basically why we did Dazzling Gleam. That's a bit of a coverage option. Now, the last move I have here is something I like to run a lot. A lot of other people run things like HP Fire for other Ferroseeds, so you're just not walled by opposing Ferroseeds, because some of them can get annoying. But what I like to run is Counter. Now, Counter is perfect as an answer for Alolan Grimer. Because Alolan Grimer arguably is probably the best switch in to Abra in the tier. It takes no damage from Psychic because it's Dark type, and it's regular damage from Dazzling Gleam. Now, Dazzling Gleam is not that powerful, and it's not stab, so you're not taking that much from Dazzling Gleam. So that's why if you run Counter, what happens is you click Counter or you click Psychic, and they switch in on the Psychic. You click Counter, and because your sash is intact, the Grimer Alola is going to click Pursuit, Knockoff, Sneak, or whatever it does. It's going to bring you down to your sash, and after it's going to be it's going to counter all that damage, and it's going to knock out the Alolan Grimer. So you're stuck with an Abra, which is at 1 HP, but has access to Magic Guard, so it's going to be able to freely switch in. But then you got rid of the Grimer Alola, and a lot of time people simply only run Grimer as a switch in because it's just like the best answer, and a lot of people forget that if they run Counter, they leave their team really weak to Psychic. So that's basically what you're running on the standard Sash Abra. Now, the next thing I want to cover is early Sun and Moon Webs Abra. So this Abra is basically what you're going to be wanting to run on webs. This was before Snivy became as good as it actually was. So people didn't run Sash, but rather they ran Life Orb. Now Life Orb gives you the extra boost, and especially on webs, you're going to be able to outspeed everything other than Scarf Abra, or sorry, not Scarf Abra, Scarf Diglett, and Scarf Elekid. As long as it's not a flying type. And what you're going to get with this is you're going to, again, have Psychic and Dazzling Gleam. A lot of people are going to run HP Fire or HP Fighting, and what this is going to be able to hit is it's going to get rid of those annoying Poniards that keep on switching in. And so having Poniard as your only dark type on a team makes it incredibly weak to webs and Abra, because Abra is a huge threat under webs. So running HP Fire, HP Fighting is going to be able to get rid of those Poniards or those Ferroseeds that may come in. The last thing I want to talk about is Energy Ball. Energy Ball is going to hit Slowpoke. Now Slowpoke is probably one of the better answers to Abra, and especially now because you don't see webs that often. But basically, You have Psychic and Dazzling Gleam. Dazzling Gleam, again, it's not that strong, and Psychic is resisted by Slowpoke, so you're not doing that much damage. And especially when you're running HP Fire or fighting, you're, again, not going to be able to do that much of Slowpoke. So what you have is Energy Ball that's going to be able to deal with Slowpoke. It's also going to be able to OHKO Eviolite Onix. Normally, if you use Psychic on a Eviolite Onix, you're not doing enough to OHKO it, but if you use Energy Ball, you're going to be able to pick it off. So that's basically the rundown for Life Orb Abra. Now the last one I want to talk about is Scarf Abra. Scarf Abra is incredibly uncommon, and it is probably known as the anti-lead. Now, you might notice that I actually am running Inner Focus. So, again, as I was talking about earlier with the Mienfoos, a lot of people tend to not really scout for Inner Focus. So what they do is they lead Mienfoo, and when they see an Abra, they're like, okay, let me just try to break its sash real quick, and they click Fake Out. And because you cannot be flinched with Inner Focus, what it's going to be able to do is going to pick off that Mienfoo with its Psychic, because it didn't get flinched. Now, Abra against Scarf is going to be able to outspeed every single mon in the tier besides Scarf Diglett and Scarf Elekid, but those aren't very common. But with this anti-lead, you're going to be able to pick off things like Mienfoo, and then again, you're going to run the normal, basically just normal coverage moves like Dazzling Gleam for dark types, HP Fighting for picking off Pawniards. If someone gets a bit cheeky and tries to switch in a Scarf Pawniard on your Abra, you can try to predict that and then get rid of it with an HP Fighting. So that's something you could be interested in. Now the reason I run Knockoff is say you have something in front of you, like let's say a Mienfoo, for example, or let's say you have a Timber in front of you, and your opponent has something a very good Abra switch in, for example, that's a Slowpoke. Using Knockoff in front of the Timber and predicting a switch is going to be able to give you a very good position later in the game by knocking off the Slowpoke, which is probably one of the defensive backbones of your opponent's team, and getting rid of that Knockoff is going to make it more susceptible for a lot of weaker things. And so before I end it off, I just wanted to show you a little replay. It's an LCPL replay of Jake versus Miltank Milk, and basically it's just a setup for a Scarf Abra. So we don't know it's Scarf Abra right now, obviously, but if you look at Miltank Milk's team, you can make a very easy game plan around what you're gonna want to do. You want to take out this Volbeat. If you take out the Volbeat, it's his only psychic immunity, so he's gonna be able to come in and spam the Psychic. This Diglett is gonna probably be something like Ground DMZ. I really doubt it's Scarf Diglett, because he doesn't really need Scarf Diglett on this team. Then this is probably Scarf Magnemite. So as soon as you knock this thing off, get it down to around 40%, Abra is going to be able to pick it off with Psychic, and then you're just going to get rid of this Tortuga, and then everything else is going to drop on his team. So as you can see, the game goes on. I'm not going to go through all of it, but if you near the end, you see he picks off. He picks off this Volbeat right here, and then Miltank Mill goes Tortuga, and then he's just gonna click Iron Head. Now he unfortunately got the flinch, but basically he was just trying to willow down this Tortuga, and this is gonna come in. Looks like it might be HP Grass or something, but Jake is just gonna click HP Grass, and then Miltank Milk is going to overpredict the Diglett coming in, and then Jake is going to get rid of the Magnemite with Heat Wave. Now, because his Tortuga is all the way down to 48, Miltank Milk is going to come in, get rid of the, going to Volt Switch on the Fungus. You're going to see Jake sack his own Fungus, and since it no longer has Magic Guard, you can see right here, because he got damaged by the Stealth Rocks, it's probably going to be Sashbra, and that's going to be the end of the game, because he's going to be able to pick off the Tortuga, then pick off the Elekid, and then finally pick off the Muriani, and that crit did not matter. But basically, that's just a quick rundown on Abra. Another thing you might want to look out for is someone was mentioning to me about Psychic Terrain Abra. It's going to prevent priority, but it's not seen as common as Sashbra or Websbra or Scarfbra. So those are the 3 main types of Abra that are going to be running around right now. And yeah, that's going to be just a small quick rundown about how Abra is going to work in the LC tier. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and see you guys soon.